Hello, Dmitry. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me.
Yes, it's my pleasure to be here. Thank you for your invitation, Preeti.
Yeah, no worries. So, I hear that you've been part of BSides NYC for a long time. Can you briefly talk about your background and how you got involved with BSides NYC?
Yeah, when I started in the industry, it was like, many years ago when people even like didn't know what for cybersecurity because everybody wanted to be a software developer
Mm-hmm.
or if not like network administrator. So eventually the industry evolved. Now it's like everything is about security. So I still remember that time when besides New York announced like, okay, the very first meet we're gonna have here, and there was a call for paper, and I sent my abstract, and it was about mobile implants targeting basically Apple and Android devices, and even BlackBerry devices yet. So fortunately, I was accepted, and when I came here, I found that this like a super nice experience because of the audience, the individuals, like researchers attending this event, are just like high class. Like the one of the best events I have ever attended worldwide.
Nice, very nice. So, really top notch quality of content here. And I'm guessing that's what brings you back. Or what are the other things that brings you back?
Yeah, it's like good memories, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way the conference is organized, everything is like super practical. Essentially, you have like a very nice location. Everything is like working easy. The talks, like the program, is really meaningful. So you can learn, you can teach,
Mm-hmm.
um, give and also like the people, as basically contacts you can develop. It's what you need.
Yep, absolutely. That sense of community and just establishing that network is super critical for a lot of people. So thanks for
Right.
sharing that. What are you most excited about, coming to BSides NYC? What are you looking forward to learning today?
Well, I saw like a couple of talks from the program, like specifically interesting for me. I
Mm-hmm.
know, like using open source intelligence,
Okay.
tracking like threat actors. But definitely, it's also I saw like workshops.
Okay.
That is great because sharing knowledge and for free. It's something which I really like because this is how it works. If you can teach someone, do that because that person can also teach others later. This is how we help the entire community and the society to prepare professionals to reduce or to lessen the risks by means of working in cybersecurity and threat intelligence specifically, and making this world a little bit better.
Great, great. You mentioned risk, right? So, in in your view, how does all of this research that we do, especially in the threat intelligence space, how does it fit into reducing risk? Because in the end, the business bottom line is risk reduction and risk management.
Yeah. So yeah, the whole purpose of like a good threat intelligence program must include like several things. Of course, it's like operational, it's tactical,
Mm-hmm.
but strategical. But the idea is always to look and to correlate to find overlaps between events, like
Okay.
in real life, like what is going on, speaking geopolitically, economically, and connecting those dots to the threats we see. So that is how we understand why that attack, this or that attack happens, who is behind it, what is the motivation,
Mm-hmm.
and by means of that, like knowing who is your threat actor, what weapons does that threat actor use, how they use that, we can calculate, let's say, like a potential impact,
Okay.
right? And with the impact, we can also to see like, okay, should we take it? Should we prevent it? Should Can we prevent it? Not can we detect it?
Yeah.
If it happens, okay, what's next? Like, what should I do? So when we have a full context about threat actors, weapons, how they use it, what are the impacts, we can at least understand the risks. And of course, the idea is not to understand only, but lessen them by measures.
Yep.
We take decisions, technological decisions, other decisions, and all of that just like focus on reducing or lessen the risks, because we know in advance we may anticipate attacks by means of contacts, so we
Uh-huh.
can lessen the risks.
Got it. So I think you touched upon various facets of the risk management life cycle, right? Like you can either um, mitigate it, have some sort of a control, or sometimes you just choose to accept it depending on a lower impact. And most of the times you're trying to thwart it, right? You
Right.
don't want to have that risk.
Mhm.
So great. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
One of the other things that I noticed when you were talking about your background is you're working in threat intelligence. You gave a great talk, and it looks like you have a lot of exposure doing cybersecurity in different landscapes, geographical landscapes. So, can you give us your perspective on how different cultures and how different security teams operate globally?
Yes, indeed, it's a very good question. For example, I spent many years in Latin America.
Mm-hmm.
My wife, she's from Latin America, so I speak Spanish at home. Um,
Wow, cool.
it's the
You must be
language.
speaking a lot of languages.
Well, no, not really, but it's like one of the language I really cherish. And for example, thinking about Latin America, it's a completely different world with different threat actors and different weapons they use with different goals. What I mean specifically, Latam, for example, it is all about financially motivated threat actors.
Okay.
It's like 99% of all attacks. While like the factories, like I mean, the main sources of the attacks are usually like Brazil. Colombia is very well known for RADs, remote access Trojans or tools, and this is what we see. Like Mexico, it's the land of mobile spying, all sort of mobile espionage. But that's like the nature, let's say,
Got it.
of these attacks.
So it
But
looks like the culture is very core to understand the intent, the motivation, and the objectives of these attacks.
absolutely,
Yeah,
and
okay.
that is a great like point to think about, because when if someone, let's say, tries to approach the cybersecurity in a generic way, let's say like malware is
Mm-hmm.
malware, phishing is
Mm-hmm.
phishing,
Mm-hmm.
it's wrong. It's like it's by removing context from the attacks, we can't really anticipate those attacks which are tailored to target us, or at least like the industry where you work.
Makes sense. Great. Thanks for that. I think that's very helpful for everybody listening to it because there are not a lot of people who have that global expertise that you have. One of the other things that I really liked about BSides NYC, and I heard a lot of other people talk about it, is how they're looking to open doors for people trying to come into security. What are some of the things that you do? Like, how do you ensure that people are coming into security, getting more interested in it? What are some good training or mentoring resources? Like, what are some of the things that you do?
Well, sharing knowledge, it's a key, right? For example, you can post what you find on Twitter, on Mastodon, on LinkedIn, and essentially, you just put something there, just simple, a couple of screenshot explanation about how this or that works, indicators of compromise, and sometimes that is enough for those highly motivated individuals to finally say, "Hey, I found that. That's interesting. I'm from that country. I'm from that company. How did you find it? How does it work?" And one thing I like doing is to provide your research like with a detailed explanation about, for example, we found this led us to that. So the person who reads that may essentially like repeat your steps. It's like learning from home, you know, trying to get to those
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
pieces of code where you are looking at this moment, and it helps. On the other hand, like conferences, of course, like this one, it's also great. Um, Programs with the universities. It's also like something I did a lot, especially with the universities in Latin America, in
Mm-hmm.
different countries, just go in there and have a presentation with a workshop for the students. It's always something like very good, and especially it makes you feel good when like time pass and you see those students. They were students, now they are professionals. I mean, they work in like very cool companies. So
Uh-huh.
like wow.
Yeah, that's nice. So it's always nice to see somebody that you mentored or somebody for whom you just helped lower that barrier to entry just a little bit, right? Because it's always helpful to know that if somebody else is also working on a difficult problem and if two people are working on it, it feels less difficult.
Hmm.
So I think this is a great example. And why do you enjoy doing this?
Well, life is about this.
Yes,
Life is about giving.
agreed.
Giving makes you happy. Like when you give, you feel happy. It's not only about getting. Of course, like, it's also like you feel happiness when you receive something, but when you also share with others, it makes you happy and others happy as well. And in the end, especially by that time when we started like learning cybersecurity, I remember that even like no universities were available, like to learn books. Yeah, if you're lucky, you may find like some books. Internet
Mm.
was also so basic. Mm, so it- like when you share like knowledge and straight to the point, like practical
Yeah.
things, you help others just to develop same and better skills in a shorter time, like shorter amount of time,
Yeah.
when like comparing to what it took me, let's say.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's also about like that higher velocity, right?
Right.
Nice. Great. Thank you so much for that, Dimitri. I don't think anybody else could have put it any better. So thank you so much for that. So now we're moving on to one of my favorite segments, and I'll let you get away with this. Um, this segment is for you to ask ChatGPT a question and give us your thoughts on what it said. And I had asked Dimitri to give us some prompts before, and one of the prompts that he chose was a very specific technical prompt. Write a Yara rule based on the timestamp anomalies from PE files with an entropy higher than 6.7 in uncommon file sections. That was a very, very specific, narrow prompt. And ChatGPT did give out a bunch of Yara rules. Sorry, one Yara rule. And it has some interesting things. At least I was able to notice some of the things that I thought it didn't do so well, and some of the things that I thought it was okay at. The fact that it generated a Yara rule, I think that's pretty good. And I'll let Dimitri take it from here. So, what's your analysis on this?
Yeah, that was like an imitation of a YARL I would write. And basically, it's a string-based files with a lot of wildcards. And if you run such a rule in your system, it will kill it. So eventually, you can't run it like in a production because it would kill it. And of course, unfortunately,
A lot of false positives, also, right? Because the first one was
yeah.
very too generic. It gave a very generic expression to match on.
Exactly, exactly. Even like checking the condition, right? It's so bad. It's not even for the files what we were looking for. So for me, it's like fortunately ChatGPT. You see, like at least for this specific task for like a threat intelligence analyst, it's not that good yet.
Yes.
It needs to be trained, and probably we need to train it to help us to automate those things.
Yeah, and I think this would be one example of like make sure that you verify everything that you get out of ChatGPT. So
Yeah, very good advice. Indeed.
thank you so much. Thanks a lot for your time. It was a real pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you, Preeti, and
Thanks.
same for me.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Thank you.